Government says delays in implementation of budget measures are to ensure effective implementation. We'll have details to this story and more in the national reports. For Tuesday, January 31st, 2023, I am Christian Mitchell. The government of Grenada says delays in the implementation of the measures announced in the 2023 estimates of revenue and expenditure are meant to ensure that the process is as smooth and effective as possible. Some of the measures announced were due to take effect on February 1st. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Finance, Mike Sylvester, explained that government considers the budget implementation process critical to the development of programs and projects for sustainable development and revenue generation. However, the only way Grenada can realize true growth is if a deeper look is taken at some of the measures to ensure effective implementation. Sylvester explained the rationale behind the delay while speaking with Ruth Roberts, Communications Officer in the Ministry of Finance, on the program Inside Finance.
What we found in terms of the rollout of the measures, though, is that there was some issues that were raised that were tangential to the actual measure itself. So in implementing the measure on sugary beverages, for example, concerns were raised about, well, there could be other items, for example, that are carbonated or that are aerated that do not contain sugar. So how do you then sort of distinguish between those? And so there was a need for a deeper dive. And what we are trying to do at this stage is basically to go down deeper and separate those items and so on. That in a sense, they probably fall within the broad category, but are not heavily, doesn't carry a lot of sugar and so on.
P.S. Sylvester outlined that the increase in VAT on sugary beverages, support on the creative economy, VAT on newspapers, increase in VAT on alcohol and cigarettes are a few of the measures that will be delayed until March 2023.
What we have now is a list of items, right? So whether it's a piano, whether it's a guitar, a list of items that will classify and fall, that will benefit from the 100% concession on VAT and CET. What we are in the process of discussing now is that given the dynamic nature of that industry, depending on how you coin the legislation, you can have issues in terms of every Monday morning you have to tweak, because something that didn't fall, that you didn't contemplate, would then come and then you have to go back to cabinet, you have to go back to change the law and so on.
Right.
So we felt that it was necessary to have some further consultation on that. What you have now with most of the newspapers are online, right? The issue of the physical newspaper and so on is not an issue. So we have to find a way to deal with that. But outside of that, for example, you still have newspapers coming from Trinidad and so on, I think, that are on the market. So we have to sort of walk through and make sure that these are not unduly taxed. What we found as well in terms of the items as e-cigarettes and so on, although they are cigarettes in a sense, they don't fall under the original harmonization code, as they call them, HS codes. Those codes have been in existence for quite a long time, so they don't capture some of the new items. And so e-cigarette would be classified as a humidifier, for example, and not as a cigarette. So there needs some further work to just clarify that.
Grenada's creative economy was placed under the microscope as government continues to highlight plans and processes to boost the creative industry in 2023 and beyond. Creative Director within government, Orlando Romain, says it is the intention to make Grenada the mecca of creative outputs in the Caribbean, with immediate emphasis on film, fashion and music and game production. Romain was a guest on the program Beyond the Headlines on the Grenada Broadcasting Network. He said focus will be placed on how Grenada can consistently produce, market, and sell quality products in the various areas regionally and internationally.
Our creative economy represents a significant component of our GDP. All right, so broadly we want to diversify our sectors. I think for the first time in, I would say, modern history, we have the opportunity to really design a sector that works for the people of the country. You look at tourism, and yes, you know, we say tourism is everybody's business, but the average Grenadian aren't at the top tier of the value chain. You look at agriculture. We produce our products, we export it, and we buy back the finished goods. We have the opportunity right now to design this in a way that our creatives can find themselves in every point of the value chain, from production to distribution to royalties. And if you think about royalties, right, and if you think about the challenges the Caribbean faces in terms of population size, we need to get creative in terms of how we're going to generate revenues on a consistent basis.
Entrepreneur and designer Jessie Ann Jessame commended the government's move to give attention to an industry that has tremendous potential to generate revenue, both short-term and long-term. She is pleased with the decision to place emphasis on intellectual property laws to guarantee protection for the people and what they have to offer within the industry.
If we stand alone, we cannot afford it, because then I would have to register my business everywhere I go. So the crux of creative industry is protection for your people and protecting the products and the services that they develop. And it could be for anything. You could take it down to the beats for jab jab. Are we protecting it? Is it protected? Can anybody around the world just take the beat and use it? And we herald all the rappers and all these people who are doing great in the music industry, but what we don't understand is what's the linchpin in their success is the ability to register and own their products. And you might be surprised how much fine details that go into that aspect of it that gives you the ability to earn in the long term that type of passive income. So I commend Orlando.
Okay.
Artistic director Christopher DeRiggs is happy that after years of neglect, the creative industry will finally get the attention it deserves. He made a call for urgent training and more incentives.
Just as governments see it important to incentivize businesses that are involved in the production of goods, and even businesses that are service-oriented in tourism and so on, or real estate, there is equal legitimacy for the creatives. So whether it is some kind of incentives that deals with input concessions for inputs into the productive process, or institutional support in the form of training, helping creatives to get into the business of the creative industry, so understanding copyright and understanding also what kind of standards that they must meet in order to become global, as well as training in even business management and event management.
This is the National Report. The news will continue after the break.
Paging all Grenadians at home and in the diaspora to be part of the journey to 50. Reflecting on the past, planning for the future as we get ready to celebrate our 49th anniversary of independence. Tuesday, February 7th, 2023. Events to be observed for our 49th anniversary of independence include table tennis tournament at the CSA building, February 3rd and February 4th. Independence Calypso Finals, Sutter's Bus Terminal, 8 p.m. February 3rd, February 4th. Open water swimming competition, Grand Mall Beach at 9 a.m. and beach tennis at Grandans Beach from 11 a.m. Also the Independence Boxing Tournament, February 4th, 8 p.m. at the Youth Center. National Independence Church Service, Grenada Trade Center, Sunday, February 5th, 3 p.m. National Colors Day, the Inter-Ministerial Display, and the 49th Cultural Extravaganza, 7 p.m. at the Granville Burst Terminal, February 6th. Then the Made in Grenada Expo, Military Parade, and Rally, 10 a.m. at the Kirani James Athletic Stadium, Tuesday, February 7th. Happy 49th, Grenada.
Welcome back. The Grenada Allied Health Council is encouraging people engaged in allied health services such as barbers, nail technicians, and tattoo artists to be properly certified and duly registered with the council on or before June 30th, 2023. Chairwoman of the council, Dr. Nicole Fort, made the call on Monday on the Ministry of Health's program, The Next Chapter, with host Kevin Frederick. She explained that the council operates in accordance with the Health Practitioners Act of 2010 and aims to promote and maintain acceptable standards of practice within a framework set out by the council and laws that govern the practice and or provision of allied support services in Grenada. The council, she added, regulates the practice and has to ensure proper registration and licensing to safeguard the public's interest.
The registration, there is a three-part payment. You have your application fees, which is non-refundable, and you have your nationals, which include CARICOM nationals, pay $105. You have your non-national pay $205. Again, that's an application fee, non-refundable. Then you have your registration fee, which is $300 for national and CARICOM, and non-national $400. Now at that point, you will get a registration card, and you will have a number, and you will be accepted into the registry of your profession. And then you have your third part, which is your license. No, your registration doesn't allow you to be licensed to practice, because people can seek registration in different parts of the world and not have a license to practice. All right, so your license fee, $300 across the board, and it's due every 3 years. So you're up for renewal every 3 years.
Addressing the legal aspect, prominent Grenadian attorney at law, Mrs. Margaret Wilson, said the council is empowered to ensure the highest standards of practice and services are met and kept. Mrs. Wilson, who is an appointed member of the Allied Health Council, spoke of the penalties a person can face if there is non-compliance of the regulations as set forth in the Act.
What the law is saying is to get registered. Failure to get registered, you're fined, and you hold yourself out as a registered health practitioner, allied health practitioner. The fine is $100,000 or 3 months imprisonment. And it gets even more steep. So if you also hold yourself out as being licensed by the Allied Health Practitioners Council, then you are also, so you are saying I'm registered and licensed, then, but you're not. Your fine is $200,000 or 5 years imprisonment.
Finally, in the news, protocol officers and protocol liaison officers participated in a one-day training facilitated by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in preparation for the upcoming independence celebrations and other official events. Protocol officers are responsible for ensuring that official events and ceremonies run smoothly and according to plan. Alice Thomas Roberts, protocol and etiquette training consultant who has over a decade of expertise in the field, explained the importance of training for those involved in this line of duty.
I think that training is necessary. I've seen in there officers who are new to protocol, as in a few weeks, and some others who've been there for months, some others who have been there for years. Protocol is not, it's about procedures. So it's not about just getting in there and saying, okay, I'm a protocol officer. I'm going to be standing at the door and handing out programs. That doesn't make you a protocol officer. You've got to know and understand the do's and don'ts. You've got to be able to provide guidance to your guests, provide information when necessary, be on the lookout for them when they do have a need. So it's being able to facilitate your VIPs to make them feel comfortable and welcomed.
She highlighted some of the qualities a good protocol officer must possess.
I think a good protocol officer or usher or even a maid and assistant should be pleasant, and it should show. It should be personable. People should look at you and be able to be willing or ready to come to you to ask a question. They should be knowledgeable about whatever the event is. It means they need to go out of their way to gather the information. It means they need to be willing. They need to be disciplined. They need to be courteous, in case I didn't mention it before. Need to be somebody of high integrity, so that you're going to meet all sorts of situations, so that you can make the right decision for yourself and your country.
The training also focused on extending courtesies.
We started with basic courtesies, and we added to that what other courtesies can we add to a VIP. We focused on considering everybody a VIP. If we treat everybody as a VIP, then we will not make errors. Then we looked at people we consider VVIPs. So everybody's a VIP. We give the courtesies to absolutely everybody. And then there are some courtesies we will add for a VVIP.
That story has brought us to the end of the National Report for today, Tuesday, January 31st, 2023. Recapping the top story. Government says delays in implementation of budget measures are to ensure effective implementation. On behalf of the entire news and production team here at the Government Information Service, I'm Kristen Mitchell saying thank you for joining us.